The first filter is your experience, so what you qualify for. The second filter is what do you actually see yourself doing with your business? Because if you're not going to, well, then don't waste extra time, energy, and money on a bigger license you don't need. That wouldn't be beneficial. But the bigger pain is getting a smaller license when you could have just knocked it all out at once and go, no, I got to go back and do this all over again with a new set of books, new set of questions, and all of that.
What does my general contractor license cover?
The term general contractor is used really broadly, oftentimes as I'm interacting with contractors who've been working for others in the field, looking to get licensed and legitimizing their own business. There's three basic tiers when it comes down to the general contractor umbrella. You've got your residential builder, you've got your limited building, and your unlimited general contractor. And so determining which is going to be the best fit for you comes down to your experience and then what's called your scope of work, which is what you're looking to do. For example, somebody might say, oh, I want my GC license, but that covers everything from residential painting a bathroom in a house to building a skyscraper. And really that range is you can want the unlimited GC, but if you have no commercial background, you're not going to be approved for it. So you don't want to go through studying, taking exams, submit your application, and then finding out like, well, you're not actually approved for that because you don't have the required experience. So that's typically the first place I start, is helping pair people with the appropriate license based off of where they're at today. Now, typically the rule of thumb is you want to get licensed for the largest license that you qualify for so that you don't need to go through the licensing process again in the future. You can kind of be one and done with that and be all set to go. But sometimes you just don't have that commercial experience yet. And so what you do is you go to the residential side and then you build into that to add on to it by getting that experience. So the first thing when someone goes, oh, I want a GC license, is figuring out which category that they would qualify for first, making sure that they're paired up. And then probably one of the biggest misconceptions is, oh, I can pull permits for everything. Not exactly. You get to pull permits for everything structural, as far as foundation, framing, carpentry, and anything along those lines. But particularly with new builds, when it comes to HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, the state will still most times require someone who holds that specific license. But the benefit of getting your residential, your limited, or your unlimited is that you're typically the one bidding on jobs and you can then sub things out. So you can kind of take ownership over the project and then you can use a specific plumber, a specific electrician. Or if you have experience in those specific areas, guys start with their residential or they start with their GC, whichever tier they're in, and then they'll add those ones on so that obviously you can keep as much profit margin for your business. The less that you need to outsource, the less that you need people pulling permits for you, or the less that you need to be paying others to do the work, obviously the more money that you get to profit from your own business.
And so would you recommend people to just start off with the unlimited if they can?
Yeah, ideally you want to maximize your time, energy, and money investment with the biggest return. And so somebody may not plan on currently building above 4 stories or doing a ton of commercial work, but maybe that's their 5-year vision and they've already done that in their past. So on paper, they'd already be able to do that. Like they've already got the experience, so they'd get approved, and who knows where business will take you. Sometimes you end up building a niche or getting more references in a certain area that you saw yourself going down one route, but you got to go where the business is. Instead of having to go back, get books, study, take the exams again, you're already qualified for that. So I typically recommend guys that that's the best thing to do, unless you have no desire to do that. Sometimes we have guys that have got commercial experience, like I want to run a residential business, that's it, don't want to touch it. And they go, well then great. That'll typically be less time investment, less money investment, less energy investment if you're going for a smaller license. It just means what's saving you on the time, energy, money side today is if you do decide a couple years down the road that you want to transition and elevate that, it's going to be more time, energy, money investment than if you just did it up front. So it really comes down to what somebody wants to do. The first filter is your experience, so what you qualify for. The second filter is what do you actually see yourself doing with your business? Because if you're not going to, well, then don't waste extra time, energy, and money on a bigger license you don't need. That wouldn't be beneficial. But the bigger pain is getting a smaller license when you could have just knocked it all out at once and go, no, I got to go back and do this all over again with a new set of books, new set of questions, and all of that.
And generally with your unlimited, are you able to charge more? Are those contractors making more money? Is there a bigger monetary benefit of just getting that license and having it in your back pocket?
The benefit is you can do larger projects. You have a wider scope of work. That's really the biggest thing, is that you're going to have a wider scope of work. You're not evaluated as like superior in any way of like, oh, well, this guy only has his residential. No, you have exactly what you need, but it will help when it comes down to bidding on jobs and work experience. And I'm sure guys factor that into their rate, saying like, we've done all of this as far as our background and what we're capable of doing. But yeah, it's not like a set standardized things that you would be able to do that.
And how does the NASCLA accredited test play a role in this part of picking a license?
The benefit of the unlimited is if someone has the experience, even if they only plan on doing residential today, or even if they're not doing large scale commercial, so that limited builder license would qualify, which is essentially any project under 500,000. Depends on, there's 3 groups, it depends on your net worth, and I can get into some more details if we progress there. But even if the limited would cover what you need to do today, and even in your tomorrows, the benefit of the unlimited, which is the NASCLA accredited exam, is that this program, the NASCLA accredited exam, covers you in over a dozen states, almost a dozen and a half states now, and they're continuing to bring on new states. Essentially what that is it is a larger, broader exam that you're going to be offered reciprocity in these other states. So you're getting your South Carolina unlimited general contractor license, and it shows that you did it through the NASCLA accredited exam, which means if you wanted to go into North Carolina, both Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, all the way over to Louisiana, every state in between, and a handful of states out west, because they see that you passed the NASCLA accredited exam, it will already honor your contractor license so that you don't have to take their trade exam in their state. Some will still require you to take a business exam, but in most cases, you're good to go. So it's offering reciprocity, which reciprocity basically means they have a reciprocal agreement, meaning if you have your license from another state, they actually honor that. So the NASCLA program made it more streamlined, that instead of going state to state, so if like a lot of guys would work in multiple states, you'd have to go take their exam or ask for a special exemption with the state or pay an additional fee as far as trying to pull permits. Like a lot of times people would do disaster relief. Well, going into all those states around the Gulf or on the coast based off hurricanes or whatever the case may be, is you'd have to go get licensed in every single individual state. Whereas NASCLA says you're covered now, and so you're able to go in there more fluidly, and it's better savings of your time, energy, money. So in that situation, even if a guy's doing smaller commercial and residential projects, but plans on doing multi-state, it gives you a lot more availability to be able to do that, whereas some states don't reciprocate. Just to put it out there, South Carolina and North Carolina reciprocate on a lot of things. So that's already beneficial. So for any of you that are close to the North Carolina border, good to go. In most cases, Georgia a little bit different, Tennessee a little bit different, and then obviously all the other states I mentioned are typically not covered. So that's one thing to look into if you're operating in multiple states or plan on operating in multiple states. Either ask myself or do the research on reciprocity and reciprocal agreements, because why would you want to take 3 exams to be licensed in 3 states when you can take 1 and knock it all out at once?
Yeah, to me, that makes the most sense. Just knock it out, especially with the opportunities coming up now where construction jobs are booming. There's more and more work to be done and not enough people to fill those jobs. Like now's a great time to be licensed in multiple states. So that would definitely be something that I would recommend.